When filling out government forms, you'll often encounter the term household. But what exactly does it mean? The definition can vary depending on the context, and understanding it is crucial for providing accurate information. In this video, we'll break down what a household is, why it matters on official documents, and how different agencies might define it. Let's start by exploring the general concept of a household and why it's so important in government paperwork. At its core, a household typically refers to a group of people who live together in a single housing unit. This can include families, roommates, or even individuals living alone. The key factor is that they share living arrangements and expenses, such as rent, utilities, or groceries. This basic definition is used as a starting point by many government agencies, but there are often additional details to consider based on the specific form or program. The definition of a household is more than just a technicality. It determines eligibility for many government programs, such as food assistance, healthcare subsidies, and tax credits. The number of people in your household can affect the amount of benefits you receive or whether you qualify at all. That's why it's essential to understand who should be counted as part of your household when filling out official forms. The U.S. Census Bureau defines a household as all the people who occupy a housing unit as their usual place of residence. This can include a single person, a family, or unrelated individuals living together. The Census Bureau's definition is broad, focusing on where people live and sleep most of the time, regardless of their relationships to one another. For tax purposes, the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, may define a household differently. When applying for certain tax credits or deductions, the IRS often considers your household to include yourself, your spouse, if married, and any dependents who live with you. The IRS focuses on financial responsibility and legal relationships, which can differ from other agencies' definitions. Healthcare programs, such as Medicaid or the Affordable Care Act, ACA, Marketplace, have their own definitions of a household. These programs usually count everyone on the same tax return as part of the household, but there can be exceptions. For example, some programs may include unmarried partners or foster children, depending on the situation. Programs like SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, have their own rules for defining a household. For SNAP, a household is typically a group of people who buy and prepare food together regardless of their relationship. This means that roommates who share groceries may be considered one household, while those who keep food separate may be counted as separate households. For housing assistance programs, such as Section 8, a household includes everyone who will live in the assisted unit, regardless of age or relationship. This can include children, elderly relatives, or unrelated individuals. The goal is to assess the total number of people sharing the living space to determine eligibility and benefit levels. When applying for student financial aid, such as the FAFSA, the household is usually defined as the student, their parents, if dependent, and any other dependents living in the home. The definition is designed to capture everyone who relies on the family's income, which can impact the amount of aid awarded. Social Security programs may also have their own definitions of a household, especially for benefits like Supplemental Security Income, SSI. Here, a household can include anyone who lives with the applicant and shares expenses, which can affect the benefit calculation. It's important to check the specific rules for each program. Roommates can be a tricky case. In some programs, roommates are counted as part of the same household if they share expenses or meals. In others, they may be considered separate households if they keep finances and food separate. Always read the instructions on the form to determine how to count roommates. While many households are families, not all families are considered a single household for government purposes. For example, adult children who live elsewhere are not part of your household, even if you support them financially. The key is where people live and share daily life, not just family ties. A household can include people who are not related by blood or marriage. This is common with roommates, domestic partners, or friends sharing a home. As long as they live together and share living arrangements, they may be considered a household for government forms. People who are temporarily away from home, such as students at college or members of the military, may still be counted as part of the household if they intend to return. This can affect how you report your household size on government forms, so be sure to check the specific rules for each program. Children are usually counted as part of the household if they live with you most of the time. This includes biological children, stepchildren, adopted children, and sometimes foster children, depending on the program. The presence of children can significantly impact eligibility and benefit amounts. Elderly relatives, such as grandparents, can also be part of your household if they live with you and share expenses. Including them in your household count may increase the benefits you're eligible for, especially in programs that consider the total number of residents. It's important to distinguish between a household and a family. A family is defined by relationships, while a household is defined by living arrangements. For government forms, Always focus on who lives together and shares daily life, not just who is related. Household size is a critical factor on many government forms. It usually means the total number of people living together and sharing expenses. Accurately reporting your household size ensures you receive the correct benefits and avoid problems later on. One of the main criteria for being part of the same household is sharing expenses. This can include rent, utilities, groceries, and other living costs. If you split these costs with others, you're likely considered part of the same household for most government forms. There are exceptions to the general rules about households. For example, live-in aides or tenants who rent a room but don't share expenses may not be considered part of your household. Always check the specific instructions for the form you're filling out to avoid mistakes. Many government forms ask for your household income, which means the combined income of everyone in the household. This includes wages, benefits, and sometimes even child support or alimony. Accurately reporting household income is essential for determining eligibility and benefit amounts. Sometimes you may be asked to provide proof of your household composition. This can include lease agreements, utility bills, or official letters showing who lives at your address. Providing accurate documentation helps prevent delays or denials in your application. A common mistake is miscounting your household members, either by including people who shouldn't be counted or leaving out those who should. This can lead to incorrect benefit amounts or even penalties. Always double-check the instructions and make sure you understand who qualifies as part of your household. Special circumstances, such as divorce, shared custody, or blended families, can complicate household definitions. In these cases, it's especially important to read the form's instructions and, if necessary, seek guidance from the agency or a professional. For tax purposes, your household usually includes everyone you claim as a dependent, plus your spouse, if married. The IRS has specific rules about who qualifies as a dependent, so be sure to review those guidelines when preparing your tax return. Medicaid uses a tax-based household definition, generally including everyone on your tax return. However, there are exceptions for certain situations, such as pregnant women or children living with relatives. Always check the Medicaid guidelines for your state. SNAP defines a household as people who buy and prepare food together. This means that even if you live with others, you may be considered a separate household if you keep your food and finances separate. Understanding this distinction is key for accurate reporting. For FAFSA, your household includes yourself, your parents, if you're a dependent student, and anyone else who lives with you and receives more than half their support from your parents. This definition is designed to reflect the family's financial situation as accurately as possible. Section 8, Housing Assistance counts everyone who will live in the assisted unit as part of the household. This includes children, elderly relatives, and unrelated individuals. The total household size helps determine the amount of assistance you can receive. For Supplemental Security Income, SSI, your household includes anyone who lives with you and shares expenses. The Social Security Administration uses this information to calculate your benefit amount, so it's important to be accurate. The Affordable Care Act, ACA, Marketplace, uses a tax-based definition of household, generally including everyone on your tax return. However, there are exceptions for certain situations, such as children claimed by someone else. Always check the ACA guidelines for details. The Women, Infants, and Children (WIC) program defines a household as everyone living together and sharing income and expenses. This can include extended family members or unrelated individuals, as long as they share resources. Temporary Assistance for Needy Families (TANF) generally counts parents and their children living together as a household. However, other relatives or unrelated individuals may be included if they share expenses. Always review TANF guidelines for your state. Unemployment benefits usually focus on individual income, but some programs may consider household size or income for eligibility. It's important to read the application instructions carefully to determine what information is required. Child care assistance programs often define a household as everyone living together and sharing income. This can include parents, children, and sometimes other relatives or unrelated individuals, depending on the program's rules. Energy assistance programs, like LIHEAP, usually count everyone living in the home and sharing expenses as part of the household. This helps determine the level of assistance you can receive to pay for heating or cooling costs. Public housing programs define a household as everyone who will live in the unit, regardless of relationship. This includes children, elderly, and unrelated individuals. The total household size is used to determine eligibility and rent amount. Veterans benefits programs may have unique definitions of a household depending on the type of benefit. Some programs consider only the veteran and immediate family, while others may include all residents. Always check the specific program's rules. Disability benefits programs, such as SSDI, may consider household size and income when determining eligibility. The rules can vary, so it's important to review the application instructions and provide accurate information. Immigration forms may ask for information about your household, including everyone living with you. This helps determine eligibility for certain visas or benefits. Be sure to include all residents, regardless of relationship, as required by the form. Some jury duty forms may ask about your household to determine eligibility or hardship. This usually means everyone living with you and sharing daily life. Accurate reporting ensures you meet your civic obligations correctly. Some jury duty forms may ask about your household to determine eligibility or hardship. This usually means everyone living with you and sharing daily life. Accurate reporting ensures you meet your civic obligations correctly. Some jury duty forms may ask about your household to determine eligibility or hardship. This usually means everyone living with you and sharing daily life. Accurate reporting ensures you meet your civic obligations correctly. Some jury duty forms may ask about your household to determine eligibility or hardship. This usually means everyone living with you and sharing daily life. Accurate reporting ensures you meet your civic obligations correctly. In summary, the definition of a household on government forms can vary depending on the program or agency. It's essential to read the instructions carefully and consider who lives with you, who shares expenses, and any special circumstances. Accurate reporting ensures you receive the correct benefits and avoid problems down the line. When in doubt, consult the guidelines or seek professional advice. Understanding what a household means is the first step to navigating government forms with confidence.